Ever had a streak of bizarre bad luck that made no sense at all? What if the sudden tension in your closest relationships wasn't a coincidence, but a calculated act? And what if behind all of it was someone silently using witchcraft against you right under your nose? These aren't random thoughts or superstitions. When life feels off, when misfortunes pile up with no logical reason, there's a chance you're not just unlucky. You're under attack. A spiritual one. Let me ask you, have you been noticing a string of strange coincidences, repeated setbacks, or unexpected breakdowns in your personal relationships? If so, it may not be accidental. These things can be signs, subtle but powerful, indicators that someone is channeling dark energy toward you, using witchcraft as their weapon of choice. It may sound like something from an ancient past, but the uncomfortable truth is, witchcraft is still very much alive today. It's just evolved. It doesn't always look like a black robe and a bubbling cauldron. These days, it hides behind different masked spiritual trends, obscure rituals, and even casual behavior from people you'd never suspect. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 5 undeniable signs that someone might be using witchcraft against you. Most people overlook these warnings until the damage is already done. But once you know how to recognize them, you'll have the power to protect yourself before it's too late. And please, don't skip ahead or watch this casually in the background. This information has the potential to shift how you see people and events in your life. If you're short on time, watch at 1.5x or even 2x speed, but make sure you take in the full context. Because sometimes, the moment you miss is the moment it all begins to fall apart. Now, are you ready to uncover the truth? Let's dive into sign number 1 and begin exposing these hidden forces working against you. So, now that you understand how modern witchcraft hides in plain sight, let's begin with the very first and often most overlooked sign of a spiritual attack. It starts with something subtle, almost too subtle. The first sign that someone may be using witchcraft against you is the sudden appearance of unexplainable negative patterns. The kind that just don't make sense. Now, don't get me wrong. We all have bad days. Maybe you spill coffee on your shirt, miss the train, and get scolded by your boss. Classic rough day. But when days like that start happening back to back, week after week, and always seem to disrupt the same areas of your life, that's when you need to start paying closer attention. These aren't just streaks of bad luck. They're precise, targeted disruptions, hitting the parts of your life that were previously smooth and stable. For example, maybe you've always enjoyed great health, and suddenly you're constantly battling strange illnesses. Or your business, which was thriving, starts losing clients for reasons that feel bizarre and out of sync. Or perhaps your normally peaceful relationship has turned chaotic overnight, with arguments sparking from absolutely nothing. The most alarming part is when these issues all come at once. It's like your life was running smoothly, and then out of nowhere, it feels like someone poured sugar in your gas tank, slashed your tires, and stole your steering wheel. All in one night. When multiple things in your life crash simultaneously and there's no clear cause, that's not just a rough patch. That's a warning sign. These patterns are often eerily specific. Let's say every time you're about to sign a big deal with a client, your computer mysteriously crashes, or your internet randomly cuts off just before a crucial online meeting. Or maybe, every time you plan a special date, something coincidentally ruins it at the very last second. These aren't random annoyances. They're engineered disruptions. So, How can you tell if it's supernatural interference versus ordinary life challenges? Here's the difference. Regular problems have logical roots. Your car breaks down because the battery's dead. You caught a cold because your coworker was sneezing all week. But in cases of witchcraft, the timing is too spot on. The repetition is too consistent. And the explanations? Way too flimsy. Here's something practical you can do starting today. Keep a journal. Begin tracking when these strange disruptions happen. What were you about to accomplish? Who were you with? What emotions were you feeling? Over time, patterns will emerge, and you may start to notice that these setbacks always follow a specific interaction or coincide with moments right before a breakthrough. Remember, this is only the first of 5 major signs that someone may be using witchcraft against you. On its own, it might not be definitive. But when combined with the next signs we're about to uncover, things will become a lot clearer. And once you see the pattern, you can finally break it. Now, let's move on to the second sign, one that deals not just with events, but with energy. Earlier, we talked about patterns, how repeated, unexplained disruptions in your life could be the first sign of something darker at play. But the second sign, this one hits even closer to home, your body and mind. While we can often shrug off one bad day, we can't ignore what we feel, especially when the feelings don't make sense. The second major sign that someone may be using witchcraft against you is the sudden onset of unusual physical and emotional symptoms, ones that seem to defy any logical or medical explanation. Let me share a story. I once spoke with a woman, we'll call her Linda. She was the kind of person everyone admired, high energy, joyful, confident. She ran a successful business, was always the light in any room, and rarely even got sick. But then something changed almost overnight. Linda began experiencing a crushing, relentless fatigue that hit her like a wall by early afternoon. No matter how much she slept, she'd barely have the energy to get through the day. Naturally, she went to her doctor. Blood tests, thyroid screenings, sleep studies, you name it, she did it. But every test came back normal. What chilled me the most was how she described what she felt. It doesn't feel like I'm just tired. It feels like something is draining my energy, like a wire being pulled from a battery. That exact phrase, drained. Like a battery, comes up more often than you'd think in stories like Linda's. And it's not just about physical exhaustion. These strange symptoms often extend into the emotional realm as well. Linda, once emotionally steady, began suffering from unpredictable waves of depression. Not sadness tied to any event, just sudden drops in her mood that came out of nowhere and vanished just as mysteriously. Anxiety began to grip her in certain rooms of her house, places she used to feel safe. And most disturbingly, she began having vivid, recurring nightmares. In them, she was paralyzed, unable to move, while shadowy figures circled her bed. Now, what separates these symptoms from common health issues is how they respond, or more accurately, don't respond to treatment. Linda tried antidepressants. Nothing changed. Sleep aids didn't touch the nightmares. Coffee and energy drinks, useless against the fatigue. It was as if something outside her body, something unseen, was interfering with her well-being. These kinds of accounts aren't new. Throughout history, similar patterns have been reported in cases involving suspected witchcraft. In fact, 17th century records from Europe describe symptoms eerily similar to what people report today. The only difference? Now we're quicker to dismiss them as stress or coincidence. But your body doesn't lie. When something feels off, it often is. Witchcraft doesn't just attack randomly. It targets what makes you you. If you're an artist, your creativity dries up. If you're an athlete, unexplained injuries creep in. If you're outgoing, you suddenly become withdrawn and socially anxious. It zeroes in on your gifts and works to shut them down. So what should you do if you're experiencing something like this? Start tracking everything. Write down what you feel when it happens, who you were with, where it was going on around you. Pay attention to the patterns. Do the symptoms flare up after seeing certain people? Do they ease up when you're in specific environments? For Linda, the breakthrough came when she noticed a chilling trend. Her symptoms vanished completely whenever she visited her sister in another state, but returned within hours of coming back home. Even more telling, they spiked after meetings with a certain jealous coworker. When she finally connected the dots, it all started to make sense. That clarity empowered her to take real steps to protect herself. And this brings us to the third sign, one that doesn't just affect you, but the energy that surrounds you everywhere you go. So far, we've uncovered the emotional and physical tolls that witchcraft can take, but sometimes the evidence isn't invisible. Sometimes it's right in front of you. The third sign that someone may be practicing witchcraft against you is one of the most tangible: the discovery of strange objects or unusual arrangements in your home, workspace, or even your car. And this one is especially eerie because, unlike emotional shifts or energy drains, this is physical proof. It's like stumbling upon the smoking gun in a spiritual crime scene. Now, let's be clear, we're not talking about your roommate's odd collection of gnome figurines or that quirky thrift store lamp. No, this is different. These are objects that have been deliberately placed in your space as spiritual anchors, tools used to channel or trap negative energy. In modern-day witchcraft, many practitioners use ordinary, everyday items to avoid drawing suspicion. You might come across a small bundle of herbs tied together with red thread, a glass jar filled with pins, nails, or strange powders, hair or fingernail clippings hidden in corners, coins or stones laid out in precise, unusual patterns, or more unsettling, personal items of yours that seem off. Even subtle changes can be signs. Maybe you walk into your room and notice that all your family photos have mysteriously been flipped upside down or turned to face the wall. That's not just weird, it could be intentional. These items are often hidden where your energy flows. Most near doorways, under beds, inside potted plants, behind furniture, or tucked into dark corners, especially thresholds like your front door, bedroom entrance, or office space. But it doesn't stop there. Witchcraft often targets items that have a direct connection to your body. Your clothes, jewelry, shoes, even your toothbrush or hairbrush can become spiritual tools if tampered with. Ever felt strange putting on something you used to love? Wearing? It might not be just in your head. This next part is critical. Never touch suspicious objects with your bare hands. Don't pick them up out of curiosity. Use gloves or metal tongs to remove anything you believe might be spiritually charged. And avoid bringing it close to your face or body. These objects can act like conductors, carrying and transferring negative energy through physical contact. Think of them as spiritual antennas. Just like your phone captures invisible signals from a nearby tower, these objects capture and amplify the negative intentions directed at you. And here's what makes it even more unsettling. These items don't always look sinister. A small gift from someone you barely know that gives you a strange feeling. A trinket that randomly shows up on your desk. Even a coin, heads or tails up, placed in a specific spot, it can all mean something. especially if it makes you feel uneasy. Now, if you're still watching at this point, it means you're serious about protecting yourself. And that matters, because recognizing this third sign, physical evidence in your surroundings, clarity to what may have previously felt like vague fears, when combined with the first two signs, negative patterns and unexplained emotional or physical symptoms, this third sign starts to complete the picture. You're not imagining things. You're becoming aware. And awareness is power. Let's keep going. Because the fourth sign takes us even deeper into the hidden changes in the people around you. Now that you've seen how physical objects can act as channels for negative energy, it's time to shift our focus to something even more personal: your relationships. The fourth sign that someone might be using witchcraft against you is the presence of sudden, unexplained shifts in your social circle and closest connections. This one cuts deep because it strikes at one of the core parts of being human, our bonds with others. When witchcraft targets your relationships, it doesn't just damage one connection, it often creates a ripple effect. One by one, the people you trust begin to slip away, and you're left wondering, what just happened? These changes don't follow the usual patterns of relationships growing distant over time. No, these are abrupt, dramatic turns: coldness out of nowhere, confusion without cause. Imagine this: someone you've been close to for years, someone who's been through thick and thin with you, starts acting strangely. They cancel plans without warning, seem annoyed by your presence, or worse, begin spreading rumors behind your back. And when you try to ask what's wrong, they can't even explain it. They just feel different. No fight, no betrayal. Just a quiet shift that neither of you fully understands. This kind of sudden emotional disconnection is a classic red flag. It's as if someone planted thoughts, doubts, or negative energy directly into their mind. What was once warm becomes cold. What was once supportive now feels distant or even hostile. And it doesn't stop at emotions. Communication itself starts to break down. Messages get lost. Emails go unanswered. Voicemails are misinterpreted. You say one thing, but what they hear is something totally different. It's like there's static running through every channel, scrambling your signals and creating unnecessary conflict and confusion. Eventually, this pattern of interference isolates you. Group chats go quiet, invitations dry up, friends stop reaching out, and in time, you find yourself standing alone, separated from the very people who could have helped you see what's really going on. That's not a coincidence. That's the goal. Isolation makes you easier to manipulate, easier to wear down, easier to control. Throughout history, across cultures, this kind of relationship manipulation has been considered one of the most dangerous forms of witchcraft, because it doesn't just attack the individual. It attacks the social fabric that keeps us safe, sane, and supported. Some of the most common tactics used in this kind of spiritual sabotage include stirring up jealousy or old rivalries, creating false memories of events that never actually happened, reigniting long-resolved conflicts, whispering doubts into people's minds about your integrity, your intentions, or your loyalty. What's left behind is emotional wreckage, betrayal, confusion, and a deep, painful self-doubt. You may even start to question your own memory. Did I actually do something wrong? Did my friend really say that? Or am I just being paranoid? This spiral of doubt is exactly what these forces feed on. It drains you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So what can you do? First, prioritize direct communication, especially face-to-face when possible. Keep a record of strange conversations or changes in tone. Trust your instincts when something feels off. And most importantly, remember this. When people are under spiritual influence, they're often not acting from their true selves. The anger, the coldness, the suspicion, it's not always them. It's the energy working through them. With this understanding, you're now better equipped to spot the shifts in your social circle and take action. And as we move into the fifth and final sign, we'll look at how your own intuition, your inner voice, may already be warning you. If you know how to listen. We just explored how sudden breakdowns in your relationships may not be accidental but influenced. Once you see those shifts clearly, you begin to respond not with confusion or pain, but with understanding. And that clarity makes room for something even more powerful. Intuition. Now, let's move into the fifth and final sign, that someone may be doing witchcraft against you, one that's harder to measure, but impossible to ignore. Intuitive warnings and spiritual disturbances. This sign is different. It's not something that shows up on a test result or in someone else's behavior. It shows up within you, in your energy, in your gut, in the quiet voice that whispers, something is wrong. And often, it's this voice that picks up on danger long before your conscious mind does. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever had a gut feeling about someone or something that you couldn't explain? Maybe one evening, for no logical reason, you decided not to take your usual route home. Later, you found out there was an accident or incident right where you would have been. Or perhaps you felt an uneasy vibe around someone everyone else adored, but deep down, you just knew something was off. That's not paranoia. That's protection. When it comes to spiritual attacks, your intuition acts like an internal alarm system. And the quieter the warning, the more serious you should take it. What signs might your intuition be trying to send you right now? Do you feel like you're being watched even when you're alone? Do certain rooms in your home suddenly feel cold, oppressive, or just wrong? Are there people who seem perfectly pleasant, yet every time they walk into a room, you feel your energy drain? Not because of what they say, but simply because of their presence. These signals often show up in your body before your brain catches on. Your stomach may tighten. You might feel short of breath. Goosebumps without any chill. A heavy pressure on your chest that appears out of nowhere. These physical reactions aren't random. They're your nervous system alerting you to something your logical mind hasn't processed yet. Pay attention to your dreams as well. Have they changed? Nightmares where you're being chased or attacked. Familiar people appearing in distorted, threatening ways. Dreams where you're stuck, powerless, or surrounded by shadows. These are not just random bad dreams. They can be signs that your subconscious mind is detecting something spiritually disturbing, that your waking mind is filtering out. Many people who later realize they were under spiritual attack often admit they dismissed these warnings at first. I thought I was just overreacting, they say. But there's a crucial difference between intuition and paranoia. Paranoia is vague, it's fear without focus. Intuition is specific, repetitive, consistent. Learning to recognize this difference can be life-changing. Another overlooked sign? A sudden disconnection from your spiritual practices. Used to find peace in prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection. But now, your mind won't settle. Your thoughts get hijacked. Your prayers feel hollow, like they're hitting a wall. What once brought you calm now feels clouded with static. And sure, you might chalk it up to stress or a busy mind. But when this happens alongside the other 4 signs we've covered, It's time to take it seriously. These intuitive signals, spiritual blocks, physical reactions, unsettling dreams, they often act as your first line of defense. The earlier you notice them, the sooner you can begin to reclaim your energy. Now that you've learned all 5 major signs, what comes next? Earlier, we uncovered how intuitive warnings, those subtle whispers in your mind, your body, and your spirit, are often your first defense before real harm sets in. But here's the key. Your protection starts when you choose to listen. So how? Do you strengthen that inner compass and reinforce your spiritual boundaries? Start with something simple, yet powerful. Honor what you feel. When you get that gut twinge, that strange sense of dread, don't brush it aside. Write it down. Keep a log of your feelings, the situations they arise in, and who or what was involved. Over time, you'll notice patterns, and those patterns are insights. Don't be so quick to label your instincts as irrational or overly sensitive. Instead, ask, what is this feeling trying to protect me from? Now take a step back and reflect on everything we've covered so far. Repeating negative patterns that defy logic, unusual physical and emotional symptoms that resist treatment, strange objects or odd arrangements found in your environment, sudden shifts in your relationships and social energy, and finally, those deep, intuitive warnings that keep nudging you individually. These signs might not raise alarms, but when multiple signs begin to overlap, the message becomes louder and clearer. Your intuition is not weakness, it's a gift. It's your personal navigation system through both the visible world and the unseen. Don't fear it. Don't silence it. Embrace it as the powerful tool it is. And now that you know these 5 signs, you hold something most people don't: awareness. And awareness alone is often enough to break the grip of unseen attacks. Because when you can recognize what's happening, you stop being a passive victim. You begin to act. Start by cleansing your environment. Sprinkle salt across thresholds. Burn sage or Palo Santo to clear stuck energy. Use bells, chimes, or sound to shift the vibration in your space. These practices are ancient and for good reason. They've protected people for centuries, across cultures and continents. But don't stop at your surroundings. Protect yourself too. Carry grounding stones like obsidian or black tourmaline. Practice visualizations that surround your body in light before stepping into stressful or draining situations. Breathe deeply, center your energy, and reconnect with your own power, because you do have power. And now you have knowledge. So here's your choice. You can ignore these signs, convince yourself nothing's wrong, and keep walking blind as your life slowly unravels. Or you can take control. You can protect your spirit, cleanse your path, and reclaim your strength. The choice between being a victim or a victor has always been yours. And if you're ready to take that next step, don't wait. There's another video waiting for you, selected just for this moment. Click it now and continue your protection journey. Your future self will thank you for choosing awareness over ignorance and power over fear.